At 6:17 that morning, my wife texted, "Plans change. You're not coming on the cruise. Emma wants her real father." I read it twice. Set my coffee down on the counter I'd installed myself 16 years back. Then I typed 4 words. "Enjoy the trip." And I called my attorney. I know how that sounds. Cold. Maybe you think a man should scream, should show up at the airport and make a scene. I didn't have it in me. 23 years teaches you the fight was already lost before the text ever came through. You just don't know it yet. My name is Daniel Mercer. I'm 59. I run a small home renovation company outside Columbus. Until that morning, I'd have told you I had a good marriage. The suitcase was already packed by the door. Blue hard shell, a Christmas gift from Melissa. Next to it on the kitchen table sat a manila envelope I hadn't packed yet. Medical records, test results, a folder I'd been carrying in my head for 3 months, waiting for the right moment on that boat to tell my wife I had Parkinson's. That cruise was my retirement trip. 8 months of planning, $26,000, the first time the whole family would sit still together in years. Darren, Emma's biological father, had only been added a few weeks earlier. It started as one dinner. Then it became a spot on the trip. I'd pictured him waving us off from the dock. The text told me otherwise. Melissa texted again, "Please don't make this difficult. Emma has waited her whole life for this." I read that line 3 times. Emma hadn't waited her whole life for Darren. She'd had me her whole life. But in the story they were telling themselves, that didn't seem to count anymore. I called Arthur Bennett, my attorney of 20 years. I want to know exactly what's mine, what's hers, and how I walk away from this without breaking a single law. He told me to slow down, not act on anger. "I've had 23 years to get to this decision," I said, and saying it out loud, I realized it was true. The house was mine before the marriage, separate property, spelled out in the prenup, confirmed again when I refinanced. I hadn't done that from distrust. A good contractor plans for the roof leaking before it rains. I couldn't touch Melissa and Emma's cabin, booked separately. But the dining package, the shore excursions, the hotel deposit, all under my name, my accounts, I canceled what I could and stopped paying what I couldn't. Melissa called from the airport, texts turning from, "Let's talk," to, "The hotel says your card was declined. This is embarrassing." Embarrassing. Not hurt. Not confused. Emma texted, "You don't have to punish everyone just because you're upset." I answered once, "You wanted a trip with your real father. It should be paid for by the family you chose to take." Darren ended up covering the shortfall, grudgingly. I want to tell you about 3 moments, because listing 23 years would take all night. Emma at 7, fever in the dead of winter, Melissa on a night shift, Darren not answering. I drove her to the ER myself. She grabbed my finger and said, "Don't leave, Daddy." First time she ever called me that. Her college graduation, tuition I quietly covered after she lost a scholarship. Darren showed up late with a bracelet and ended up in every photo while I held her graduation gown like a coat check attendant. Last Father's Day, Emma posted a long tribute to Darren online. The card she left me on the counter said, "Daniel, thanks for always helping. Not Dad, just a guy who helps out." I went to Arthur's office, prepare separation paperwork, confirm the house title, move forward on the sale. My hand shook signing it, just enough that the signature came out crooked. Arthur noticed and said nothing, which I appreciated. 3 months before any of this, a neurologist told me, early-stage Parkinson's. I hadn't told Melissa. I wanted facts before I put that weight on her. The cruise was going to be when I told them both. I'd packed medication, treatment paperwork, a list of house modifications I might eventually need. What scared me wasn't the disease. It was becoming a burden, the way I'd watched my own father lose himself after a stroke. I thought Melissa and Emma would be my people through that. That text cracked open the truth. They still saw me as the man who served the family, not one who might someday need it to serve him back. Then, while they were at sea, Melissa accidentally left a voicemail running with Darren. "He'll calm down. Daniel always does. He likes being needed. He won't walk away from the house. He built his whole life around taking care of us." She wasn't wrong about who I used to be. She just only understood the parts of me she could use. I went back to Arthur and signed everything. House sale, separation, revoked accounts, a chunk of the proceeds routed into a trade scholarship fund I'd been mulling for years. The sale closed in 18 days. 8% under market for a clean, fast close, while they were still 11 days out at sea. A professional mover packed everything that wasn't mine, Melissa's clothes, Emma's things, photo albums, into a storage unit paid 6 weeks ahead. I kept only my father's toolbox, a photo of 7-year-old Emma, a worn carpenter's pencil, my medical file. Walking through Emma's old room one last time, pencil marks still climbed the doorframe, 7, 10, 13, and beside the last one, in my own handwriting, taller than Dad's soon, I ran my thumb over it and left it there. Back at sea, cracks showed fast without me holding things together. Darren wouldn't cover dinner tabs, refused the internet package, told Emma to pay her own excursions. At dinner one night, Emma brought up a hospital stay at 12. Darren said he remembered, didn't even know which hospital. I did. I'd slept in that plastic chair 3 nights straight. Melissa opened Arthur's email on day 7, tried calling me. Number disconnected. Darren told her, he's bluffing. He'll fold once you get home. Word for word what she'd said about me in that voicemail, except aimed at her now. Emma found the paperwork on her mother's phone. He sold the house because we took Dad. Don't call Darren Dad like that right now, Melissa snapped. Emma went quiet, the first time the word had ever felt heavy in her own mouth. They landed in Columbus on a Tuesday. The cab pulled up to a house with a different car in the driveway, kids' bikes against the garage. Melissa's key didn't turn. A new owner explained the sale was legal and closed. Police confirmed it and asked her to leave. Everything they owned sat safe in a paid storage unit 40 minutes away. An envelope on the counter held the storage address, cash for a hotel, and a letter. Melissa, you said Emma needed her real father. I hope Darren becomes the man both of you believe he can be. I did not sell your home. I sold the house I bought before our marriage, maintained for 23 years, and had already planned to leave because my health is changing. I spent most of my life believing dependability would make me family. Your message showed me I was still the man who could be set aside the moment someone more important came back around. I don't wish either of you harm, but I won't finance a life where I'm treated as temporary. Take care of each other. Daniel. Melissa stopped on the line about his health changing. My shaking hands at dinner. The stares I'd started avoiding. For the first time in 23 years, she realized I'd had an inner life she'd never asked enough questions to find. Darren tried to blame me for manipulation. Emma turned on him instead. What medication was I taking? He didn't know. What doctor? Didn't know. What was the name of her elementary school? He couldn't answer that either. Something in her face changed permanently. Darren left, citing work. That night, Emma held an old photo from storage. Herself at 7, asleep on my shoulder after that hospital stay. On the back, my handwriting. My girl is finally coming home. She broke down. He thought I was his. Melissa said quietly, he didn't just think it, he chose it. 4 months later, I used part of the house money to launch a trade scholarship fund at a community college. Kids with real talent and no runway, the way I'd been once. At the small announcement, Melissa came, Emma with her, Darren too, mostly because Emma wanted to see if he'd show up for something inconvenient. After I spoke, Melissa approached, voice low. You had enough money for strangers' scholarships but left your wife and daughter in a hotel. I left you storage, legal notice, and 2 weeks in a hotel, I said. What I stopped giving you was unlimited access to my life. Emma stepped closer. Dad. I looked at her a long moment. I loved hearing you call me that, when you were 7, I said. Her eyes filled. I was stupid. You were old enough to choose, I told her. That means you're old enough to understand what the choice cost. Darren cut in. Emma has 2 fathers, and I just asked what she'd studied in college. Wrong answer. Emma, steady now. Daniel had problems too. He still came. That was the moment it settled. No scandal, no twist, just a plain fact in the open. Darren had a title. I had a history. Emma asked about my health gently, wanting to know rather than needing something. I told her the truth. Melissa offered to help. Trust doesn't rebuild in one conversation on a sidewalk, I said, but I gave Emma a P.O. box. Write to me. Don't ask for money. Just tell me who you are when you need nothing from me. A year passed. I'm still in a small house near Buckeye Lake. Some mornings my hand shakes worse than others. I go to physical therapy twice a week, mentor a few scholarship students over coffee, fish with my neighbor Carl. I'm not healthier or richer than I was a year ago, but I stopped being afraid that love had to be purchased. Melissa moved into a small apartment, built her own budget for the first time in years, and sent me a letter with no demands, just a plain apology. I wrote back that I forgave her. I also told her the marriage was over. Both were true at once. Darren drifted out of Emma's life again once she stopped looking at him like something out of a dream. She told me the mistake was never wanting to know her birth father. The mistake was treating the man who'd shown up every day for 23 years like something tradable. Emma writes regularly now, less about apology, more about her actual life. Eventually I agreed to coffee. She didn't call me Dad right away. "Thank you for meeting me, Daniel," she said. "Thank you for coming without asking me to fix anything," I told her. A small, honest start. That evening I opened my father's old toolbox. The photo of Emma at 7 was still tucked inside. I'll never throw it away. Forgiving someone doesn't mean pretending the love wasn't real. It just doesn't live on the nightstand anymore. For most of my life I believed love meant staying no matter how little of yourself was left by the end of the day. I know better now. Sometimes love means walking away before resentment turns you into someone you don't recognize. If you've ever had to step away from someone you love just to hold on to yourself, what did it teach you?